gameplay, story, and hot girls. I mean, good art. These were the ingredients chosen to make the perfect little game. But the developer accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction. The ability to start a completely different one with different power-ups and items and skills when you die. Thus, the roguelike genre was born. Using its... The roguelike, or rogue genre if you will, is the best genre of video game out there. At least if it's done well. And lucky for you, there are two simple ingredients that all the greatest roguelikes have. As somebody who regularly cooks, and even on occasions enjoys cooking, salt, and sometimes pepper, is such a magic ingredient. Even in things like chocolate cake, where the absence of a simple pinch could completely leave you with a flat-tasting result. Even luckier for you, this is as far as the analogy goes when it comes to roguelikes, because you normally want as much salt and as much pepper as you can get. But before I explain to you the benefits of each ingredient, let me explain to you what a rogue game needs to have in order for it to be a rogue or roguelite, at least in my eyes. Rogues follow three core tenets. Firstly, and most obviously, that death is an integral part of the game. More specifically, restarting the game from scratch once you die. There are no save points in rogue games or reloading if you failed, mostly. Secondly, they need to have good gameplay, as gameplay is 99% of the game. It's what you're doing over and over. And finally, they need to be beatable within a reasonable time frame. There needs to be a run factor, which lets you either lose and jump back in, or, well, win and jump back in. Now, let's talk about what separates a truly remarkable rogue game from a forgettable one. You see, if the core gameplay loop is start run,
well met,
fight monsters, get some type of progression, kill some type of boss, repeat a few times,
well met,
fight final boss, and run, well, then there needs to be something that wants you to keep going. Two very simple, yet sometimes hard to execute components. The two magical ingredients that make you want to do another run. And another. And, well, another. Variety is the salt of rogue games. It is by far the single most important thing a rogue needs in order to be good. You see, the more options that you have, the less likely it is for each subsequent run to feel the same. If your rogue had 4 characters with 8 weapons and 20 skills, then each run would start to feel very samey very fast. You'd quickly realize that there's usually an optimal skill or an optimal gun, and given the fact that there are so few choices, you basically end up grabbing the same thing over and over. Unless you're some type of masochist that just wants to beat the game naked or itemless. So the easiest solution should just be then, well, let's add 800 weapons and 2,000 skills, right? Well, yes and no. You see, there's another aspect to variety, and that's how things synergize and work with each other. A truly great rogue lets you come up with wild combinations that might be terrible on their own, but combined with another specific item or skill, it's something that ends in a truly revolutionary and game-breaking result. And speaking of the devil, there is nothing more satisfying than feeling like you're some type of unstoppable killing beast after you've managed to break the game. And yes, when the rogue is a great rogue, you should literally be breaking the game. When you're playing The Binding of Isaac, there will be so many runs where you manage to assemble some wacky set of power-ups only to obliterate everything you see on screen with a simple click of a button. And it feels amazing. You see, for breakability to exist, you also have to have a rich amount of variety. There needs to be crappy items and skills that usually do nothing, but when combined with specific other items or skills, actually leads to a type of synergy that only the wildest of gamer could ever dream of. The best rogue games understand both of these concepts. They leave these wacky or inherently bad things into their game, but with enough weirdness that makes you go, wait a minute, if I add this to that, maybe I throw in a little this, and suddenly you have the end result. In my eyes, no rogue has ever done this better than The Binding of Isaac and The Bazaar. These two are the gold standard for what a great rogue needs to be. The Bazaar is simply put the most accessible and deepest rogue game I've ever played. I've sunk hundreds of hours into it, and I'm still finding myself trying out new builds and discovering new synergies to this day. Hell, I loved it so much, I even dedicated an entire video to the game. One that might not even do it justice due to my poor editing skills.
What have I done?
And The Binding of Isaac to me is the opposite in the best sense of that word. It's wild and chaotic. It's very outdated in terms of graphics, and the art style's a little disturbing and weird, but if you can get past all of that, then there's a mountain of secrets, cool items, and hidden bosses to be found. And the best thing is that they fall into completely different categories, because that's just how great Rogue is. It's not just a genre, it's also a modifier to an already existing genre. The worst feeling I can get in a rogue is where runs start to feel samey. I'm not really doing anything new, and I never really get to these points where I'm combining components like some type of mad alchemist. And there are cases of games where they are fundamentally amazing games, just not very fun rogue games. Games like Hellcard, RoboQuest, and even Absalom, all fantastic games, but not very good rogue games. The gameplay is crisp, the art is beautiful, the story is cool. But remember that this video is purely aimed at what makes a rogue great, not what makes a video game great. And to me, the opposite of these games would be games like Across the Obelisk, where there isn't really a great story or crisp gameplay, but the amount of combos and items and changes you can make to your decks really does feel like you're constantly coming up with new ideas for runs. There are dozens of routes and bosses and random events for you to discover. Or even Inkbound, with its very innovative set bonus system where you're trying to mix and match certain set bonuses to come up with some truly game-breaking builds, where you generate infinite mana or something equally wild. And finally, I've saved the best ingredient for last. That bit of spice to me is the ability to play with your friends. I really think that the easiest and greatest way to make an amazing rogue game is by letting you enjoy the variety and breakability with your friends. I mean, who better than to revel in your destructive glory than your best friend or maybe even your partner? Games that embrace this aspect to me are infinitely better games, because to me the perfect rogue games are the ones that actually let you trade items and help each other out to both build your perfect build. I'm noticing a trend, and it's one that I'm really thankful for, and that's seeing more and more rogue games adding co-op. And not just as a side option or a fun mode, but literally letting you experience the entire game together. As someone who loves playing games with their friends, it brings a huge smile to my face every time I see a rogue game that I'm excited to play have that tiny extra tag slapped onto their Steam page. I don't think having co-op automatically makes your rogue a great game, but I can tell you that there are so many games that I had a ton of fun just because of this feature, and there's a ton of games that I wish had a co-op feature put into them. In short, the rogue genre has so many games that are constantly coming out every month, and if you're someone who has just started dipping their toes into the water, you'll be happy to know that there's an ocean waiting out there for you, filled with gems of different shapes and sizes, ready to be discovered. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you could help me out by subscribing to the channel or sharing the video with some of your friends, I would really appreciate it.